Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really getting into something that's just exploded across headlines and social media, sparked some really intense conversations. We are talking about the U.S. Department of Justice releasing Ghislaine Maxwell's interview transcripts and audio. Just happened. And look, this isn't just, another news story. It feels like a real window into some high-stakes legal stuff, public opinion, and honestly, how information like this just lands and immediately splits everyone. So our mission today, let's try and unpack what's actually in these, 300-plus pages, explore why they went so viral so fast, and importantly, think about what this idea of transparency really means for you, trying to stay informed. We'll hit Maxwell's comments on big names, her pretty surprising claims about Epstein's death, and that immediate, really fierce political split we saw. Okay, let's get started.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here, right from the get-go, is where this comes from. August 22nd, 23rd, 2025, the DOJ puts out these redacted transcripts, plus audio. This is from Maxwell's interview with Deputy AG Todd Blanche back in July. 2 days worth. And the DOJ specifically said transparency. That was their stated reason. So these aren't leaks or rumors. It's direct from Maxwell. It's rare to get that kind of direct perspective, even if it is, deeply controversial.
Oh, controversial feels like an understatement with Ghislaine Maxwell, doesn't it? So let's get to it. What did she actually say that lit the fuse?
Well, top of the list, definitely her statements on Donald Trump. She told investigators, quote, "Never saw the president in any inappropriate setting. He was a gentleman in all respects." And that specific line, AP News, The Guardian, they all highlighted it. It just took off, became a core reason these transcripts spread like wildfire, really fed a certain narrative.
Absolutely. That was kind of the headline grabber.
But it wasn't just Trump, right? She talked about others. Yeah, she did. She addressed interactions, or lack thereof, with people like Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, RFK Jr., even Elon Musk got a mention. And the pattern was consistent. Denied seeing any misconduct from anyone. She pushed back hard against those, client list conspiracy theories, just dismissed them. And she was pretty blunt about the Prince Andrew allegation involving Virginia Giuffre, called it rubbish. The Times, The Guardian reported on those denials too.
Okay. Denying things about others may be expected. But then there were her comments on Jeffrey Epstein's death that seemed to catch people off guard. The official finding is suicide. We all know that. But Maxwell suggested, didn't she, that maybe it wasn't, used a phrase like, by an internal situation.
Exactly. She directly floated the idea it might not have been suicide, implying potential foul play by an internal situation. Didn't go into huge detail, but that phrase alone just reopened all that speculation. The New York Post really jumped on that claim. And she also threw in her own theories about Epstein's behavior.
Right, linking his focus on underage girls to testosterone supplements.
Yeah, that was her explanation. And she firmly denied being involved in any kind of blackmail scheme herself.
Okay, so she says all this. Now the big question comes. How do we even process this?
Well, that's the critical point, isn't it? You have statements from someone convicted of, heinous crimes, serving a long sentence. So you have to ask about motivation. Is she telling the truth as she sees it? Is she maybe angling for something? A pardon? Better treatment? Or just trying to reshape the narrative? Her credibility is, let's be frank, severely damaged by her situation. Doesn't mean dismiss everything outright, but you need a huge grain of salt, a very critical eye.
Yeah, you can't just take it at face value.
Not at all. And if you zoom out a bit, these statements land right in the middle of years of public speculation, all these swirling rumors and conspiracy theories about Epstein and his network. For some people, her words might feel like answers, like finally someone on the inside is speaking. But for others,
it just confirms their suspicions of a cover-up or maybe deepens the mystery.
Precisely. It forces you to ask, okay, how does her testimony stack up against everything else we know or think we know? Other evidence, established facts, ongoing investigations. Her perspective is now public, yes, but it's inevitably filtered. It's one piece of a very murky puzzle, not the whole picture.
And people definitely started trying to fit that piece into their puzzle immediately. The public and political reaction was, instant and intense. Polarized doesn't even quite cover it. The moment they dropped, it was like the internet just fractured. On one side, you had what Politico called the MAGA endorsement. Trump supporters, influencers, they specifically named Laura Loomer, Chaya Raichik of Libs of TikTok. They were sharing excerpts instantly.
Framing it as total vindication.
Exactly. Like, see, he's clean. That was literally a quote floating around on X. It became immediate proof for them that Trump was uninvolved in the Epstein mess. A real rallying cry. But then, just as fast, came the pushback. The Democratic criticism, let's call it. Critics immediately zeroed in on her credibility. Yeah, Robert Garcia Politico quoted him calling her testimony unreliable and offensive to Epstein's victims, flat out.
Pointing to her conviction, yeah.
Right, saying, look who this is coming from, questioning if this was all just a play for a pardon or some kind of deal. They saw it as manipulation, not truth.
And this kind of immediate, stark polarization, while it feels maybe shocking, it's also kind of predictable in today's media world, isn't it? Think about the media momentum. The DOJ itself labels the release as transparency. That's like a signal flare for newsrooms, YouTubers you mentioned, Midas Touch earlier, social media pundits.
Tells everyone, this is important. Pay attention.
Exactly. The news cycle was already kind of primed for anything Epstein-related, and this just poured fuel on the fire. It wasn't a quiet release. It was designed to be noticed, and it spread everywhere fast.
Through all the different filters.
Precisely. Which led straight to that political divide. For many on the right, it was simple. Transcripts equal exoneration for Trump. Case closed. For many on the left, it was equally simple, but the opposite conclusion. This is Maxwell trying to muddy the waters, protect powerful people, distract from the victims, another cynical ploy.
So transparency didn't really lead to clarity at all.
Often it doesn't, does it? In this hyper-polarized environment, releasing raw information often just gives both sides new ammo for their existing arguments. It can actually deepen the divide. Rather than bridging it with facts, it accelerates the narrative warfare.
That's a really potent way to think about it. Less about shared facts, more about ammo.
Yeah.
So why this release? Why did it hit such a nerve, become so viral, even, as you said, endearing to some?
Well, a huge piece is just the enduring sensitivity of the Epstein-Trump link. And not just Trump, but all the high-profile names associated, even loosely with Epstein. That whole network has been wrapped in secrecy and conspiracy for so long. It taps into this deep public fascination and, frankly, outrage.
So when Maxwell, a central figure, speaks directly about Trump, Clinton, Andrew, offering statements that sound clean,
it just reignites everything. Curiosity, anger, maybe relief for some, confirmation of bias for others. It's just potent.
and the power of her actually saying it, right? The
Yeah.
direct quotes.
Absolutely. Psychology matters. Hearing or reading direct denials, even praise from her, someone so infamous, so inside that world, gives it incredible viral appeal and political weight. People have been waiting for someone from that inner circle to talk. When the statements seem clear-cut or fit what you already believe, they stick. They spread. It feels like finding that missing puzzle piece, even if
Even if the piece might be dodgy.
Exactly. Even if the source is deeply compromised.
Which brings us back to that really tricky ethical current running underneath all this.
It does. It really forces us to ask some hard questions. What's our responsibility as people consuming this, sharing it? Are we, the public, the media, inadvertently handing a megaphone to someone convicted of terrible crimes, someone with every reason to spin a narrative?
It's tough.
Yeah.
Because transparency feels like a good thing. The public should know what was said, shouldn't they?
On one hand, yes, the principle of transparency is important. But the unfiltered spread, especially without context, without that critical evaluation we talked about, that can seriously distort public understanding. It's a very fine line.
Yeah.
And so for you, listening to this, trying to make sense of it all in this flood of information, the challenge is huge. How do you figure out what's true when sources are biased or compromised or have clear motives? This Maxwell situation really hammers it home. Critical thinking isn't just like an academic skill, it's vital, day to day.
You have to constantly ask.
Who's talking? Why now? What's in it for them? What do they gain? What do they lose? It's about building your own toolkit for evaluating information, especially when it's this high stakes, this controversial.
Definitely. So wrapping this part up, this deep dive really shows that releasing the Maxwell transcripts, intended as transparency, pretty much instantly fueled more debate, deepened the divides, especially around that Epstein-Trump connection. It makes it crystal clear that transparency in today's world doesn't automatically mean agreement or clarity. Sometimes it just gives competing stories more fuel.
More data points for the narrative wars.
Yeah. And this story is obviously not finished. So many loose ends, right? Narrative threads still dangling. You mentioned the Guardian reporting the House Oversight Committee now has 33,000 pages of records.
A staggering amount, 33,000 pages related to this whole saga.
Just imagine what's in there. What else could come out? What future revelations or political explosions are waiting in that pile? It's something we definitely need to keep watching.
No doubt. And it leaves us and you with maybe a final thought to chew on. In a world that seems almost starved for secrets, Does releasing information, does transparency always equal truth? What we've seen here suggests it's not that simple. The act of releasing something doesn't validate it. So as you encounter new pieces of this story or any complex story, remember the source, remember the context, remember the potential motives. That critical assessment, that's your most powerful tool for navigating it all.